day the week on Sunday. My name is Kobby Spiky Nkrumah, and this is the show that talks about technology. Sometimes we talk about science, sometimes we address nerds, and sometimes we address geeks. Yeah, there's a difference if you didn't know. Anyways, today we'll be talking about the life, what it takes to succeed as a techpreneur. But before that, if you're a developer, if you're looking to be a developer, if your child is interested in coding, you want to be, interested in what we're about to discuss, all of the conversations we're about to have. So first off, there's an organization called Hack Lab, and I'm here with one of the members. He's called Bawa. Hi, Bawa.
Hello, Kobby.
How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm very well. So if you're listening to us, you can be watching us on Facebook. We're live. You can tweet at us with the hashtag #JoyGeekSquad, and you can join us on the Telegram group. It's Joy Geek Squad also. Yeah. And then share your views on what we're discussing. I'll be also putting out the Joy WhatsApp line 055 11 11 997. It's 055 11 11 997. Yes, Bawa. And for the record, Bawa is like some macho coder. I mean, he's a coder, and the guy is macho. People always think geeks are like me, slim macho. Yeah, but this guy really got a bulk. So if you want to watch him you want to see that guy, he's live on Facebook. Go watch our Facebook at Joy997. You see the macho coder. What up?
All right.
Yeah, I put you on the spot, didn't I?
Yeah, I'm here.
Cool.
So, Kobby, thanks for having me on the Geek Squad. It's good to be here.
Great. Now, tell me about Hack Lab.
Okay, so the Hack Lab Foundation, we are a not-for-profit foundation, and we seek to prepare the youth of Ghana and Africa for the jobs of the future, because the skills that we have now are not going to be the skills that we require for the jobs of the future. So we seek to help them come up to date with these tech skills that we are going to need to go forward into the fourth industrial revolution. That's
brilliant. Some of the skills that people should have known before they got out of school with their certificates, because it would have helped them. Some people don't know how to use PowerPoint, Microsoft Word, and Excel. I hope you're teaching them that. Not only coding.
Oh yeah, we are teaching them all it takes. So from the basics all the way up to robotics, all the way up to our annual hackathon, where we host over 600 developers under one roof.
Wow.
For close to 36 hours, and they come up with very brilliant solutions to our local problems right here in Ghana.
That's brilliant. Now you're organizing a developer census.
Yes. Yeah.
So like the way there's a Ghana census where we count everyone, you're counting developers.
Exactly. So the way there's a Ghana census and then we count everyone, we know who's a farmer and we know who's a teacher and all that. So we know all these demographics within Ghana. That's what we're doing for developers with the Hack Lab Developer Census.
Great.
So we're counting developers and we're also counting what skill sets they have, because, developers these days, it's a very wide ecosystem and it's a lot of different skills. When you're starting up, you need to know what the ecosystem currently holds and which has the most number of developers and what the future looks like. So we're trying to take a real-time screenshot of what is happening in Ghana right now with developers in relation to their skills, their demographics, their motivations, as well as their working hours, and how we can help actually make this better for developers in Ghana.
That's great. That's absolutely great. So how about me that retired from development? Do I count?
Yeah, you do count. So when I say developer here, all that we mean is anyone who writes code.
Right.
So if you write code, if you know what Hello World is and you've ever done that in your life before, then we are looking at you.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, the census is meant for you.
What if I ended at Hello World and I didn't progress beyond Hello World?
We still need you.
Okay, that's cool.
There are questions in the census for you.
Right.
So if you've ever written code before and you know what Hello World is, and if you don't know what Hello World is, that is the first program most people write when they start coding. Yeah, so if you've ever typed that or you've ever written any line of code, go ahead and take a look at our census, and we want to get you counted, as well as maybe what made you quit coding as well. So we have questions around all these, so you should definitely take a look at our census.
How do they get counted? Are you going to go around with a piece of paper and say, are you a developer? Yes, sir. No, sir. Is that what you're going to do?
No, that's not what we are advocating for. We're a tech organization, so we're definitely going to use our technology right here.
Whoop.
Yep. And if you want to get counted, you can go to hacklabfoundation.org. That's .org, one organization, not commercial, so not .com. hacklabfoundation.org/census, and then there's a form in there which you can go through and fill in most of the details. Most of the questions are not required because you could have just written your Hello World program and quit. So we'll just take that information that you need and you can skip through the rest and fill it in. So it's hacklabfoundation.org/census. That's where you get counted.
Cool. So if you're listening, hacklab.org/census. Hacklabfoundation.org.
Yeah.
Hacklab. Hack as in HACK. We all know hacking.
Yeah. HACKLAB Foundation. FOUNDATION.org/census. CENSUS. Yeah,
great. So go there. I also share it on my Twitter, on my social media, everywhere. I'll have Almighty Selwyn share it too on Joy. So you guys who are developers who are listening to us, go get counted. So yeah, I should say, you're doing this. If some contract comes, can get some people,
Exactly. So this is actually to help the developers in Ghana, and this is supposed to help build the ecosystem. We have so many projects that are being outsourced to external coders, so many government projects in Ghana that are being outsourced to external coders, and we have these brilliant people in Ghana. So we need this information to be able to tell that this is actionable, and we have these people who are good with these skills that we need to build this project. So we shouldn't be taking these projects out there. We also need this information to be able to tell that this is how our coders are currently compensated, and benchmarking against global averages, this is how much we have to catch up on and how much more we have to be compensated on. So we need this to make these actionable decisions. So if you're a coder, help us help you by going to hacklabfoundation.org/census and taking the survey now.
Thank you very much, Bawa, aka Galactic Overlord. Yeah, he didn't think I was going to do that, but yeah.
Thank you for having me, Kobby. It's good to be here.
We will have a more in-depth conversation about developers because it's a lifestyle that a lot of people need to plug in. Considering we just watched Apple's latest event, and I was just blown away. I'm like, people are doing things, like great things, and I saw one Ghanaian name in there, Kweku Alson. He's a photographer. Yeah, but I'd like to see more Ghanaians in Apple and Microsoft and Google, so I can have them on the show. Those are our celebrities, not always musicians and video.
Exactly. We have all these kind of people in Ghana, but most of them maybe they are not good with the social skills or stepping up to the stage to be able to make the ecosystem better for themselves. So if you are that brilliant, you are going to get taken out of the ecosystem and they'll go work somewhere else. So we are trying to build that ecosystem that makes the developers stay right here in Ghana and help us build those platforms that will push our country to become that technological giant.
Thanks very much, Bawa, and I'll be seeing you soon.
Thank you, Kobby. Hopefully I'll be seeing you soon.
Great. So that was Bawa from the Hacklab Foundation. You want to go to hacklabfoundation.org/census and get counted if you're a developer, or even if you quit development, like me, because you want to be a businessman. We'll be back, and when we're back, we'll be talking to Winifred Coaten. She's the COO of Superfluid Labs, and we'll be asking her some questions that she's going to answer that's going to educate us on what it takes to succeed as a techpreneur. We'll be right back. And I'm back, like I never went. So we are trying to find out what it takes to succeed as a techpreneur. And to do that, we have on the line Madame Winifred Coaten. Hi. Hello.
Hello.
Hi. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you too?
Very, very well. So we're going to have this conversation where you're going to be telling us what it takes to succeed as a techpreneur, because we've seen there's a whole lot of entrepreneurs in the tech industry, and most of them, they start energetic, it's bubbly, they want to make it, they want to be the next Bill Gates, they don't want to be the next Steve Jobs and Elon Musk, everything, but then somewhere along the line they lose steam or they pivot into something else because they weren't successful at being a techpreneur. Now, before we get to that, I want to know, who is Winifred Coaten, for those who don't know?
Okay, thank you for that. So I am a technology professional and a techpreneur, and my background is in computer science, and I've been doing computing for almost 2 decades now. Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. So, tell us some more about your tech background. What do you do?
Hello.
Yes, tell us more about your tech background. What do you do?
Okay, all right. I think I've had a very interesting journey. So my background actually started in the chemistry lab class in secondary school. What happened was that I witnessed my lecturer, my teacher perform a regular titration experiment aided with a computer, and that was actually the very first time I had seen a computer, and I was actually really fascinated. So I interrupted the class and asked him what's going on here, because the usual acid-based titration we would have done and plotted the graphs on the normal green graph book was actually happening on the screen.
Right.
And the graphs were actually plotted, and it said it was an acidic reaction, like magic. So I was very fascinated. So when I asked him, he said this is called a computer, and it has a software, and the software can draw graphs automatically. So after class, I asked him a whole lot of questions. I was very curious. Interestingly, when I got home during the vacation, I noticed my dad had a laptop as well.
Right.
And I told him all the fascinating things I witnessed in my chemistry lab. And then he was very excited as well for me. So my parents connected me with a friend of theirs who was in the profession, and then he was able to share more information about the various disciplines, roles, and different professional paths that existed for a technology professional. So in the end, I knew I wanted to do software engineering because of all the things I heard. That was the most exciting thing for me. So I went on to read computer science for my first degree, and that's how my journey started.
Wow, so you benched the chemistry and went straight into coding.
Yes.
Great. So I'd like to know your journey as a techpreneur and some of the tech organizations you've played a key role in developing.
Okay. So after my first degree, my first job was in the banking industry. And interestingly, you typically will not consider a bank a tech organization, but banking is one of the technology-driven businesses in the world. About 80% of banking is actually facilitated by technology. Right. So every debit, every credit, every interest or interest to be paid must be recorded, and you will not be able to achieve that kind of scale if you are not using technology to record and hold that kind of valuable data and then serve customers at scale. So I was very fortunate to have started my professional career in a very tech-dependent industry like banking. So I stayed in banking for 10 years.
Wow.
And during the process, I moved from different roles within, from software engineering to building enterprise applications for various purposes, for workflow enhancement, and also for adding more value to customers and reducing time spent in banking halls. And then later on, mobile money came on board, and I was fortunate enough to also work within the mobile money space when that eventually started. So interestingly, I've had a very diverse background of application of technology in the financial services industry.
Great.
Yeah. So I did that before moving on to entrepreneurship and working and starting Superfluid Labs with my partner. Yeah.
Great. Now that's what I want to know more about. What is Superfluid Labs? And I mean, because you did just mention some stuff about chemistry, and now you're talking about labs. did you go back to software engineering with chemistry?
Okay, very, very interesting. Fortunately, they are not related.
Oh.
Superfleet Labs is actually labs like a technology lab.
Right.
And our objective is to unlock the power of data for business growth across multiple use cases around the areas of automating intelligent business decisions, scoring credit risk more efficiently using data analytics and artificial intelligence, and then also helping businesses understand their customers better and build various valuable and innovative propositions that would enable them to retain their most profitable and most valuable customers. So that is what we do at Superfinance. So we are actually a data analytics and artificial intelligence company.
Right.
And we call ourselves a lab because we experiment to make sure we serve our customers best and help them unlock great value for their business growth.
So would you be comfortable if I threw the word big data at you?
Sorry, can you say that again?
Would you be comfortable if I threw the word big data at you?
Yes, very comfortable.
Okay, so now you mentioned businesses taking advantage of data analytics so they could grow and then scale their business. That's one thing I've noticed that some businesses, especially small-scale businesses, do not take advantage of. Now, how can these businesses leverage data analytics?
Okay, thanks for that. So, basically, every business has one concern, and the concern is making the customers happy so that the customers keep paying you and don't leave you for your competitors or alternative offerings.
Right.
And what we do, or how small businesses and every other business can take advantage of data, is to help them understand their customer profiles and behaviors much better. As we speak today, the whole world is digitizing. Due to COVID and prior to COVID, digitization had already started, but COVID has really propelled the growth and the adoption of digital technologies. And we are all living very valuable habits online and through our activities on digital platforms. And that generates a lot of very valuable data points for which a business can harness, analyze, and unlock valuable hidden insights, which can help them understand the behaviors of their customers so that they can serve them better. So let me just give a typical example of a small business. Assuming I was a saloon, I owned a saloon services, and I provided a variety of beauty services targeted at women.
Right.
And suddenly, so every week I record the customers who come to my business. I record their names and specific services they came for. So they came to do their hair, they painted their nails, they did some other things, or they bought one or two of the things I had on display. In addition, I should be capturing that data because that data is very valuable to me. So I can now say that Madam Lucy, who comes here 3 times a month, usually purchases services for me worth 200 Ghana cedis.
Right.
Now, Madam Lucy is a very, very valuable customer to my business because if I had 50% of my customers looking like Madam Lucy, what I should be doing is to make sure I keep her happy. Anytime she doesn't show up, I call her, I send her a text and find out, is everything okay with you?
Yeah.
And then find out really what are the main things she likes doing when she comes over. Because, you know, you always have competitors. So what makes your services so attractive for someone to keep coming? You should be aware of that. And if you are not tracking your data, all the valuable data you should be about your customers, you will not even know those who are adding value or contributing most valuably to your profit line. So what we do with data analytics is, and how a small business can take advantage, is to help them record all the action points they have when customers come to serve them, record how much they are making from each service line or each activity the customers do with them, and then also to record other additional information. For instance, contact details of their customers. Where are they coming from? Are they coming from the neighborhood? Are they traveling from a specific location? If a lot of them are traveling from some location, it means it's a good opportunity for you to establish an outlet there. So there's so much you can do with the power of data, and our goal at Superfinance Labs is to make sure that we are delivering this kind of value to every kind of business. So from enterprises to startups, everyone can benefit and should be using data analytics, and Superfinance is here to serve them.
Cool. I like that you said everyone can take advantage of it. Now, let's just say I'm a pure water seller. How can I take advantage of data analytics to boost my pure water business so that I can move from the head pan to a chest and then to a shop and then to a container? The next thing you know, I'm the next big aqua business in Ghana.
That's actually a very, very interesting question, Kobby. So assuming I was a pure water seller, and I want to pick a spot. So my spot is at Accra Mall.
Yeah.
And typically I notice that when I start selling in a day, the first thing is to look at how many bags of water am I able to sell in a day. Typically, and at what time of the day do I sell most? And at what location within the let me say my boundary. So assuming I was selling at Accra Mall, and typically I walk from one side of Accra Mall just to before we get to the traffic light around former Ghana Home Loans area. That's usually my route. At what point do I sell most? Is it at when the traffic light is located and is red, or is it around midday, or is it evening? That's one of the questions data can help me if I am actually noticing those things. But one thing is you need to know the questions to ask. So establishing what data points are most valuable to you for your business is one key thing. So for instance, if I notice I sell most at a traffic light point, and then I sell also much better in the evening than during the day, I know that if I want to really increase my business, one way is to actually get an additional person, because for one person alone, I perhaps may not be able to sell more than a certain number. I can already recruit one more person who also joins me to hawk other specific points. But what that does for you, what that would do for me as the ice water seller is that now if I was going home with a profit of, let's say, 100 cedis a day, the fact that I now have two of me, that is myself and the new employee, I now would be able to add on perhaps 50 because I need to pay this other person 50. So now I go home with 150. That is the beginning of growing your business day by day through the power of data, because you're able to answer most critical questions, which are the growth drivers for your business.
Great. Now, that's a brilliant answer. Now, I know that I need another one of me because, I'm not getting as much money as I should.
Hello, Kobby.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, now I can hear you. I think I lost you for a minute.
Okay. I agree with what you just said. I think that's a brilliant answer, because that means that I need another one of me so that I can increase my income. So what does it take to get people to buy into data analytics?
I think, unfortunately for us, we are kind of quite early in the market when it comes to data analytics in our part of the world. So we always have to do a lot of education. But interestingly, we are also recently getting a lot of people understanding data analytics themselves, and they come around asking, what can data analytics do for me. So what we've noticed is that for a lot of times there has to be a lot of education. So just like the questions you asked me, where you help, you have to explain and help a business or a prospective customer client understand the value data would unlock for their business before they can actually engage. And they also need to understand from the perspective of their own strategic growth projection. So if like you mentioned, for the size of the seller, if the goal is to move on to have a container, the only way you can move to container is when you have a lot more money.
Yeah.
Because you cannot afford a container at that stage. So if the goal is to move to a container in 5 to 10 years from now, what you need to do is ask yourself, how do I make more money? I do to increase my asset capital so that I can get it. Understanding your strategic roadmap, and then we helping you understand how data can play a key role in that is positive for us to all for everyone.
So it's most importantly education.
Yes.
Great. And I'm glad we're educating people now. So when you're starting a business, we've all been to this entrepreneurial fairs and forums, and then you hear, oh, you need a business plan, you need to be wise, you need to work hard, and then you need to, gather yourself and then focus. They give you all these buzzwords, but I believe in data because I'm a techie. So I want you to tell me and everyone listening, what are the crucial elements of success for a techpreneur in Ghana?
I would say for me, thanks for the question. The success really is understanding what the customer wants, especially in Ghana, and then also understanding what the customer is willing to pay for.
Right.
Because with technology, there are so many problems you can solve. So if you are very innovative or you are very gifted with solving problems, every time you're going to be innovating something new.
Right.
But not everything is going to be purchased, or the market may not be ready to buy what you're selling. So I would say to be successful, we are also learning every day and progressively. But one of the things I've realized is the most crucial is really understanding the pain points of customers, and also understanding what the customer is willing to pay for, because a pain point for a customer may not be as painful enough for them to decide to pay for it.
Right.
So you need to understand what they want to and how much they want to pay for the value you are delivering.
Right. And what I'd also want to know is, now we know what they should look out for. What are the mistakes that you made, and what advice would you give to those who are now coming, the techpreneurs are now coming?
Okay, I think one huge lesson I have personally learned is that not everyone is your customer.
Right.
So not choosing your customer right is one of the biggest things that can really depress an entrepreneur, because you'll be selling and you'll be trying to sell to the wrong customer who would not buy from you, and you would waste a lot of time going through so many processes trying to sell to them. So not identifying who the right customer is for your business was one of the mistakes and the early learning lessons we had to go through. And the next is also understanding the buying decisions of your prospects. So because we are typically a B2B business, this is a very huge problem for us, because if our customers were actually individuals, it would have made a huge difference. Because when I met you and I talked to you, or you saw my advert and you wanted to purchase, it would have just been easy. You take out your money and you buy and good too. But when you are selling to businesses and to enterprises who have a process of making decisions, you really need to understand what it takes for them to make a decision, who the key stakeholders are, and how their buying habits are. Because, for instance, in Ghana, one of the challenges we have in Ghana is that a lot of a good percentage, let me not say a lot, a good percentage of businesses have their headquarters out of so they are conglomerates and they are multinational. So if you are targeting enterprises to sell services to, you really need to understand their purchasing behavior. You need to understand how they buy and where they buy from and what goes into their buying decisions so that you can pick and choose your customers well.
Right. That's great advice. Now, as a female techpreneur, what are some of the risks that you need to take to get to the top?
I'm sorry, I lost you a little bit. Can you kindly take that again?
Okay, I said as a female techpreneur, what are some of the risks that you need to take to get to the top?
Okay. So the risk of being female.
Yes.
Oh, that's a very interesting question. I would just say that everyone else has some risk, but the thing about being a woman is that you always, irrespective of what you do, whether you're a techpreneur or whatever professional journey you are on, you always really need to be excellent, because the standards are for judging you are always, it seems, is always higher. Everyone seems to have a higher marking scheme for you than they would have for your colleagues who are men, and that's quite unfair though, but those are what I realize. So you always need to be very excellent and deliver excellence as much as possible.
Great. Now, besides all that, there's always the talk of money. Like, to start a business, you need funding, you need money. And that lack of funding has always been one of the key challenges of techpreneurs. How were you able to raise funds in your techpreneur journey?
Well, I am still in the journey. And it's still quite early days for us. So, fortunately for me, I was actually working prior to entrepreneurship. So I was in corporate for over 10 years. So I had learned a lot and learned about how money works as well. So I think I would say I had an advantage in understanding how money works. So I knew that it wasn't easy to come by funding for anyone, especially in Ghana. So I started saving very, very early. I started saving from the very first time I started working. So the first thing I did was to save towards business school so that I could understand the rudiments of business, so to get an MBA. And then the next was to save for starting a business. So for me, the biggest way I got funding was actually working and saving. But when we started, over time, we've been able to attract some angels who have also believed in the journey and then also believed in the value we are creating and the impact of our work to join us. That we bootstrapped initially for some years.
Right. So you definitely need to save or have someone who believes in your idea to put some money into it, no?
Hello?
Yes, I said so you definitely would either have to save or find someone who's interested or believes in your idea to help you launch it.
Yes, very much so.
Great. So how there might be someone listening who wants to start their tech idea, into a business. Where do you think they should start? Should they just go ahead and just jump into it?
Well, I would say it's a very interesting question you asked, but it all depends on the risk appetite the person has, because business is all about risk. So if you want to start, you need to ask yourself whether you are ready for the risk, because it's always, it can go well, it can fail. You may need to try several times before it starts you start getting some traction. So one is to understand whether you yourself, you want to go through that process, whether you want to go through that risk. And then the next is to also look around you and see the kind of problems for which people are willing to pay for your technology offering. Because, like I said, if you are offering things people don't want to pay for, or there's a cheaper and more convenient and easier to use alternative, then really what's the additional value are you bringing on board, or what's so unique about yours for which you need to get people to switch and then start using yours? So you need to ask yourself all those relevant questions, and then you now go into coming up with the best way to deliver that service, given what you have in terms of the funding you need, in terms of what it takes to be successful. So, for instance, if you are delivering a business which needs to be available online at all times, can you sustain the purchase and of data and the amount of data required, and then maybe 2 or 3 backups of alternative internet providers, so that you'll be successful. So there are so many questions you need to ask, but the first is to know whether you have what it takes or you're interested in that kind of risk, and then whether the market is ready to buy the offering you have or you want to go into.
Cool. That's great. So where do we find more about Superfluid Labs? Because maybe some young ones out there who want to learn, like you, some female techpreneurs who want to start up. Are you taking interns first?
Yes, we do take interns every now and then. So currently we have 2 interns for the year.
Okay, so some people can still come and intern.
Yes.
And they can come and learn more about Superfluid Labs and you.
That's true.
Cool. And have there been any organizations that have believed in your idea and invested in it, besides the angel investors?
Sorry, can you kindly say that again?
Have there been any organizations that have believed in your idea and invested in it?
Yes, we have received some. We have some partnerships. So we've received a lot of validation for our offering globally. So we've had a lot of global bodies and institutions who believe in the power of data, especially around the area of helping score credit risk, because access to finance still remains one of our biggest challenges in Africa. So everyone who wants to start a business or is in business or has a pain point needs to access credit, but the problem is usually around scoring the risk, whether or not they will pay back. So because we solve that kind of problem with analytics and artificial intelligence, we've received a lot of partners, not all monetary, but we've also received a lot of support, people who have opened doors for us or introduced us to some other stakeholders to enable us speak to them and deliver solutions. And for me, I am actually very grateful for that.
Great. Yeah, and we are also grateful to them, because it's good when people believe in tech ideas, then we get to move forward. Now, I'm thinking about this. Since you are into big data and data analytics, how can you even fail? Because you have all the data that could prove whether your business is a good idea or not, right?
Yes. So the question is, you said since we are into big data
and data analytics.
Yes.
Yes, you can. It's like you have a crystal ball, so it's near impossible for you to fail.
Okay, I get you. Yeah, but unfortunately, what we have is the analytics capability. So we still need the data. So unfortunately, we don't have the data. We don't have all the data. You start having the crystal ball when you have the analytics power and the data as well.
Right.
So what we have is the analytics power, and we are plugging it into relevant data sources to make sure that we can win.
Great. Now let me still stick on the big data part for a bit. I know data analytics always has to go with the 4 V's, and the most important one in this part of the world is the veracity of the data, because unlike in other parts of the world, you can always verify the data, but in Ghana, it's always iffy. How do you deal with that?
Well, that's actually one of the biggest challenges. You're right. Fortunately, because we do B2B services, our clients bring their data and we work on it for them. So the data is actually already verified by our clients. So our clients bring their data, and we use our technologies and competences to unlock the value for them. So we currently are not actually collecting any data ourselves. So because of this specific challenge, because if you need to work with data at that scale, it means you need to collect it and be sure that the data is indeed valid and everything is right. But at the moment, we actually serve only business clients. So they have gone through the processes of validating the data, because most of the time it's actually from their digitized platforms that they bring. But one of the things we do is we also notice that there's usually inconsistencies in the data. So we have data cleaning capability. So one of the things we built was automating the process of analytics, so that we could deliver more easily good value to our clients. So we provide data aggregation, data prepping, and cleaning, and then tools before we can get to the point where we start delivering data because of these challenges. So what we did first was to build a process of automating data analytics and machine learning as a platform, and that's one of our secret and key ingredients to our ability to deliver value. So that's we built the machinery internally to enable us overcome these challenges of the data not being clean or consistent or having some missing values, so that we can help our clients realize this and then also join multiple data sources and data sitting in silos together to start delivering value for the businesses we serve.
Right. So one final question, and would you say that as a startup, it's imperative that I do some data analytics or some, gather some data around the business I'm trying to start to see if it's a possible success or it could fail? Do you think that that's a very good idea?
Yes, certainly. I think so. It's a very, very good and valuable way to test. And then not only gather the data, but you can also run some experiments or have some small pilot tests to get feedback from the market, whether or not what the problem you're trying to solve is actually valid and how much is also valued by the market.
Great. So any final words, Winfred?
Yes, thanks so much for having me, and I'll say that the entrepreneurial journey has been very interesting, and the power of data can actually be enjoyed for every business, irrespective of your size or the journey or where you are. We've actually had the privilege of working with small startups to large institutions. So we would want to use this opportunity to also call on everyone else who is thinking about data, especially those who have implemented digital solutions quite recently, to start looking at how they can unlock more value and retain valuable customers using data analytics. And we are available through www.superfluid.io. Superfluid is spelled SUPERFLUID.io. And then we can get started over there. We're also available on all the social media platforms.
Great. So what are your social media platforms in case someone's finding the same Superfluid Labs?
Yes, it's actually Superfluid. So Superfluid Labs, one word. Superfluid Labs, one word.
Okay. Thank you very much to the COO of Superfluid Labs. That's Winifred Coates. She's been talking to us about her techpreneurial journey as a female and a bit of tips on big data and data analytics and how to leverage all that as a startup. Thank you very much, Winifred, and we definitely will catch up with you some other time.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me on the show.
You're welcome.
Bye.
So, yes, we've been talking about, it is Geek Squad if you're listening, and we talk tech over here, and that's why we're talking to a techpreneur trying to figure out, get some insights about her tech journey and a few other things. Now, This month, we will be sharing stories of some great techpreneurs and important information for startups that you can leverage on and accelerate, accelerate and then grow. It's been a while since I heard that term used, accelerator. You can grow. So join us next week. We will be hosting Nelson Madiba Amu. He's a CEO of InnoHub Limited. He's a president, DT Automated Systems, or ED, and Ghana Tech Lab. He will also share his techpreneurial and leadership journey with us. There's so much to learn from this amazing personality and all the other personalities we'll be bringing on to the show. It's Techpreneur Month. You dig? And so before I sign out, I'd like to read some messages. Oh, unfortunately, all the messages I got were for the Macho Coda. Sorry. Who came in and left. So, good evening, Spiky. Regarding the Macho Man in your studio. Yes, but he's gone. Can you please ask him this? Aside the kids interested in coding, do they have a package for adults in their late 20s and above who are interested in coding, or people who want to diversify career-wise into areas requiring the ability to develop or write code? I ask because I think to develop GH into the fourth industrial revolution must encourage and create opportunities for all hands on deck. That's from Guy Fox in the UK. Thank you very much, Guy Fox from the UK, for your message. I will definitely get an answer from him. I'm pretty sure, yes, it's open to all. And even if it's not, there's definitely more opportunities in Ghana for people who want to diversify and go into areas that require coding and the likes.